Vince, you up, buddy? You ready to rock? How are we, Allison, how are we for time? Oh, look at that. I'm pretty good. So, Vince, man, you missed this morning. I was giving you shout-outs and kudos, and everyone was like, where's Vince? But he's here now, and I'm excited to have him on stage. I've known Vince, you guys know the story now. We met at the gym, at an event, and he's one of those guys, he calls himself the original gangster because he's been in this space probably a little bit longer than I have. And as you guys know, he helps skinny guys build muscle. And he's just done an amazing job for the past 13, 14 years. The cool thing about Vince is that, he's gone through trials and tribulations. He's had a lot of haters, a lot of lovers. He has one lover, Flavia, one lover. Fans, haters, the way it goes online. What Vince is going to talk about today is some of the hard lessons he's had to learn on his journey. And I'm super excited to have him here because Vince and I have become really close friends. Again, we live 5 minutes from each other. We twisted the knife for him and Flavia to move closer to Toronto so we can hang out more and just because it's better. And it's just great to be able to hang out with people that are just doing great things and just, hang out and have dinner and troubleshoot and give ideas back and forth. And I know that Vince loves sharing his knowledge, his wisdom. He's a big inspiration. His father was a pastor, so he comes with a lot. You're going to get a lot of inspiration, probably a lot of one-liners that you may want to jot down as well. And I'm super pumped to have Mr. Vince Del Monte join us. Welcome, buddy. All right, buddy. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so inspired by this guy. I wanted to do live events, and he jumped on it before me. And that's what happens when you get around other guys moving in the same direction. Iron sharpens iron. And it's so cool because this is real. Everybody's trying to figure out, is this internet world real, or is it just for a bunch of people trying to make money? Yuri and I started out so long ago, and now we're, talking about running events. He's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. Our kids hang out on the weekends together. Our wives are friends. We take trips together. It can't get more real than this. This is the real deal. So I'm just so excited to be here. I'm so excited that you're setting an intense pace, right? Competition is your friend because they pull you along to a better time. All right? So as Yuri was saying, my father is a pastor, so if you feel like I'm preaching to you a little bit, it's because I am. Who came here to help me preach a little bit today? All right, good. So we are going to be discussing 10 hard lessons while building a 7-figure online fitness business. Painful lessons, embarrassing lessons, lessons that you don't have to go through, but the truth is many of you will. Because a lot of us have to learn the hard way. And I'm going to be sharing a perspective on this. I know a bunch of you guys will take this and avoid them, and I'm hoping that you guys embrace the concept of being a genius versus being an intellectual. Do you guys know what the difference is? Intellectuals seek solutions. Geniuses seek preventions. So that's why I'm here today, to give you guys a lot of things that I've learned the hard way so that you don't have to make them. Sound good? Alrighty. So I like sharing who I am so you guys have context to where all this stuff is coming from. Maybe I have the wrong one. There we go. So everything I'm teaching today can be seen real life through these different social media platforms. So I'm a huge believer in transparency. So if you want to see anything being lived out that I'm teaching today, just visit any of these pages and it's all in action 24/7, nonstop. So first off, who is Vince Del Monte? Vince Del Monte is a Christian. I did grow up in a Christian home. I am a father. I am a husband. I'm a fitness trainer and author. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm an online business coach. It's taken me 37 years to embrace who I am and to start displaying this on all my platforms. And it's really helped me take where I'm at and figure out where I want to take people. So you're going to see that coming through this talk here today. This is my BMW. How many people here have a BMW? You guys know what a BMW stands for? Beautiful, marvelous wife. How many men here have a BMW? A little more enthusiasm. There we go. All right, so this is my BMW. This is us celebrating 7 years of marriage. Flavia's in the back there. I know many of you guys have met her. This is my legacy. These are my two kids, Gianluca and Melia. And I say that they are my legacy because if I screw this up, nothing else matters. So my goal is to keep the main thing. This is the main thing, my family. The goal is to keep the main thing the main thing. And I'm a huge believer that if you screw up this, you've screwed up everything. So I've been trying to build this business by maintaining that. And every time that I've not kept them at the center, that's typically when these mistakes have leaked in. Not all of them, but that's when the mistakes occur because you lose focus of your values. All right, so you have to know what you value. You know what a value is? A value is something you prize highly and practice daily. It's quiet in here. These are my action takers. These are the guys that follow my work and take action and get results. These are the guys that buy my programs, and I like these pictures because it's representative of what happens when you take massive action. And this is the outcome that can occur. This is my first real book. I love sharing this because it was a dream of mine to always have a book, although I've never made a penny on this book to this day. I kid you not. It's one of my greatest achievements, writing a book, and I believe that every single person in this room should write a book. How many people have a book? It's one of my biggest mistakes. It's actually not in my 10 lessons, but one of the biggest mistakes is not writing a real book sooner. I was always jealous of Yuri because, I said, man, how did you get the book out? I said, I was just driving, recording into my phone. And I just did it yesterday. And I'm doing the next one tomorrow. And he's cranking these books out while he's driving around in his BMW. And I'm like, man, is it that simple? So I'm a huge believer in writing books. And a lot of my clients, we're all getting ready to write our book because that's going to position you as an authority figure. And it's going to set you apart. See, if you don't show up different in this world, you don't show up at all. And having a book is one of the easiest ways to show up different. I share this, that I've been a 7-figure earner for the past 7 years because in this industry, there are a lot of pretenders. Who's been scammed by a pretender? Anybody? Hopefully not just me. Thank you. You're going to hear that story very soon. So I share this because I truly believe, just like in fitness, you got to show your before and afters. You got to show your testimonials. So you don't want to show this stuff too much, but you want to show it a little bit, right? It's important. If we're talking about business, you're learning from people that have income to show for it. So I want to give you guys context. I'm a huge believer in the idea of context. Our pastor, Stephen Furtick, says that comparison kills clarity. Comparison kills clarity. And clarity always needs context. Easily we can get led astray because we don't have the full picture in mind. So we don't know who we're listening to. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. So that's why I want to give you guys some context before we get rolling. These are my online business students. Similar to Yuri, we've taken similar paths, and this is an incredible opportunity. As you guys build your online businesses, people are organically going to ask you, how did you do it? And that's an opportunity for each one of you guys to start your own online business coaching program, start your own mastermind, have your own event. So I have these 2-day seminars. I bring guys together, and I teach them what I've done to build my online business. But do you know why they come to learn? Because I still have a thriving online business. I'm still relevant. I'm still making money in 2017, not 2011. So how many people here are teaching online business to people that have, yeah, that's great. So you started, yeah, amazing. So people have seen your business grow, and now they want to know, how did you do it? It's a beautiful evolution. Beautiful evolution. 2006, I wasn't qualified to talk about business because I wasn't making any sales. 10 years later, we're here, and it all started with this guy over here on the left. Skinny Vinny, weak, scrawny, couldn't get the girl, pushover. So I like to bring you guys back to the beginning. All right, time to get rocking. I want to give you guys a higher level perspective on hard lessons. One of my father's personal friends taught me early on that life is God's best teacher. How many people have to learn the hard way? Is it just me? How many people have to learn the hard way? I have to learn the hard way. I have to feel pain before I actually get it. And this is how God teaches us. So I have a new perspective. When hard times come, I embrace it because he's trying to teach me something. Every test and trial in your life is meant to get you ready for the next thing. He's preparing you for what's coming. You want to go somewhere, but you're not ready. You want to go here, but you're not armed. So he's pushing you around. He's toughening you up. You're like in the ring. He's fighting. He's throwing you jabs. You're not ready to go where you want to go. So when I'm in the fight, I'm embracing that because I can't fight bigger battles if I can't win smaller battles. So I embrace the hurt because it's making me stronger. Another cool thing about hard lessons is that you can use your hard lessons to inspire others. A lot of people come and pay me because they want to go to school on my mistakes. I go to people's masterminds because I'm going to school on the lessons that they learned. And that's why a lot of you guys are here. You guys are shortcutting your success. The money you invested in this event is going to pay you back tenfold because you're learning from other people's mistakes. So embrace the problems you're fighting through. It's my favorite. Your greatest battles will become your greatest victories. Your scars will become your strengths. Your wounds will become your weapons. Who here can relate to that? When you've come out of a fight, you come out stronger, right? When you're in a valley climbing, when you're climbing up a mountain and you're getting close to the top, that's when I get worried because that's when it starts getting easy. I like being down in the valleys because I know it's bringing me, I know there's a place to go, and it's up. All right, guys, hard lesson number 1. Some of these are kind of like emotional, more like, you'll see what I mean. Some of them are very tactical, so we're going to start off with the more of the conceptual stuff first. So hard lesson number 1 is getting paralyzed by the idea fairy. You guys know what the idea fairy is? One idea after another, right? It's like the guy who goes fishing and he's got 20 different lines in the water and he can't catch anything. He's catching minnows. What he should do is pull all those lines out of the water, leave one in, or maybe find a better spot, then throw it back in, get a better rod, get a better lure, and go hunting for a shark. Right? And we'll talk about the culprit of each one of these lessons. So the way this seminar is presented today is we're going to talk about the lesson. I'm going to share a story. Then I'm going to tell you guys what the problems are from that manifest these issues, and then we'll look at the solution. All right? I'm a huge believer in giving lessons and teaching what to do, not telling you just what not to do. Telling you what not to do is kind of like the way I speak to John Luca. John Luca, stop pushing your sister Melia. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. That's how you raise a child. You guys aren't kids. I want to give you guys substance today. I want to give you guys nutrients that you can use to grow. So we're going to tell you what to do today, not just what not to do. Huge part of your business model, by the way. I love this line. The successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. Laser-like focus. That's a quote from Bruce Lee. So in 2010, my online business was dedicated to helping skinny guys. I was building a name for the guy who helps skinny guys. And I had no-nonsense muscle building out for a couple years, over 100,000 sales, 118 countries. And the idea fairy struck me. Let's go make a fat loss product. I've been skinny my whole life, but I decided to make a fat loss product to go grab some cash from the fat loss market. So I put this fat loss product out, and it did well. It actually did well. But I confused the marketplace. A lot of people started asking, I don't get it. I thought you're the skinny guy savior. Why do you have a fat loss product? So I was starting to go wide instead of going deep. You guys have heard that saying? A lot of people spread themselves thin. They go a mile wide and then an inch deep. You guys want to go a mile deep and an inch wide. A huge difference. So where does this come from? What is the culprits of this? One, it comes from confusing activity with productivity. The way I like to describe this is a lot of us, including myself, we get caught up looking for pennies. And we're looking, oh, there's a penny. Ooh, a nickel too. Wow. And oh, there's a dime. And you're down here looking for pennies. And guess what happens when you're looking for pennies down here? All the dollar bills are flying over your head because you're confusing productivity with activity. Productivity puts money in your bank account. Activity puts pennies, if anything, in your bank account. All right, so we get caught up in, not playing the long game. We're going for that short-term instant gratification. We want to cash in now. And I know it's tough because sometimes we have bills to pay, but that's short-sighted. We've got to think long-term. All right? I didn't think about the opportunity of just owning the entire muscle building market. But I started to confuse the marketplace by saying, hey, look at me, I got fat loss too now. And don't get me wrong, it made some bucks. But I started confusing the marketplace, and that was a lesson. A problem there was I was driving without a GPS. Anybody ever drive without a GPS before? Flavia, what happened when we went to Italy on our honeymoon? We went to Naples. I insisted on driving without a map. Well, what happened after that? Did we just get lost? Did we have a nice conversation after that? Yes, she treated me with respect and I treated her with respect back. We had a mature conversation, and it strengthened our marriage. We almost didn't come home from that honeymoon. It's okay saying that, right? So we're driving without GPS systems. How are you going to get to a destination if you don't know where you're driving? You got to plug the damn address into the system. When you know where you're driving, you now know which road you go down. Oh, okay. Well, I can't go here. That's a dead end. And now you can start saying, we'll talk about this in the next slide. Actually, I think it's coming up. You can start saying no, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, the power of saying no. So the number one solution, and again, I want you guys to start thinking about your own business and how you can apply this to yourself right now. So what is the number one initiative? The number one initiative that will have the greatest impact on your profits, growth, and results if you start building your no-saying muscles? It's a very tough question. You might start getting uncomfortable because you have to start pushing other things away. You know what it's like to say no? It's like building a body part on your physique that doesn't want to grow, like your calves. I hate training calves, and if you looked at my calves, you would know. I have no calves. John Bowles is here, my good friend. He's getting me all suited up. He's doing all the M5 apparel clothing. And, it's hard to find shorts for me because, I've got these big quads and tiny calves. And you can tell that I don't train calves. And when I can tell when I meet somebody who doesn't say no. They're all over the map. I'm like, is my memory poor? I'm like, no, it's not me, it's them. I can tell when you don't know how to flex your no-saying muscles. And it's obvious to other people too. It's a turnoff. It tells me you have no idea what you're doing. And again, I'm guilty of this. So no is a muscle. And how do you build a muscle? You flex it. You flex it. You flex it. You start saying no to small things, it becomes easier to start saying no to bigger things. We got to start flexing our no-saying muscles. If you don't flex them, they're always going to remain small. Here's some advice from two of my great mentors. Amateurs get distracted by idea after idea after idea. You guys aren't amateurs. You guys are professionals, and professionals focus and execute with singularity of vision. Who knows what focus means? What's the definition of focus? Follow one course until successful. Focus. It's the name of the game. Hard lesson number 2. Not knowing what marketing is. I didn't know the definition of marketing. Who here knows what marketing is? Or at least my definition. There's a lot of definitions, don't get me wrong. There's not a right or wrong definition, but I feel like this is the most accurate one, in my opinion. It's the one I live by. It's one word. It starts with B. What is marketing? It's your beliefs. Marketing is your beliefs. It's what you believe with your core. If you don't know what you believe, if you don't know what you stand for, you fall for everything. My dad said this to me before I went to university. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. And what happened with me was I started my brand off no nonsense. Build muscle, no supplements, no drugs in less time. And then I started talking about nutrient timing and all these different methods out there that started confusing my audience that were nonsense. What's a brand? It's a promise repeated over and over and over. And I built my following up around this idea of no nonsense, no nonsense. And I started complicating my own brand. People started saying, Vince, you contradict yourself a lot. And I wasn't clear on what my message was, so I started losing my audience. Started going to other people, and that's when the internet started picking up steam. Wasn't a good time to not have focus. Paid for that. It's hard to recover from some of these things. Everything I'm teaching here, by the way, is recoverable. All right? I wouldn't be standing here right now. Just like a rough workout, you'll recover from it. So this all manifests from trying to impress the wrong people, speaking outside your zone of genius, and forgetting your beginnings. So I forgot my roots. Vince Del Monte, the no-nonsense guy. I started trying to be smart. I'm like Rocky. I got what you call a punchy brain. You know, I'm not that science guy. And I started trying to attract people that weren't in my world, that weren't attracted to me, wouldn't have been attracted to that complicated message, right? I started falling out of my zone of genius. I tried to start impressing the wrong people. I tried to start impressing like big advanced people. That wasn't my audience. So I lost focus. Rudy, why are you smiling at me? You're laughing at it. Some of you guys lived through some of this stuff. Some of you guys saw this happen to me. All right. So some examples. I bet if you look at each one of these guys, and we're not going to go through each one at a time, but we can tell you, you guys know what each one of these guys stands for. What does Yuri stand for? Like, he's been really driving home the whole idea of going deeper with your audience and not wider. It's a big belief he has. And you're seeing that lived out. He's got his mastermind. He's got his live events. So what he's preaching is actually happening. What's Gary Vee's big message? Guys, I tell you what. I've listened to hundreds of hours of Gary Vee. He talks about the same three things on every single podcast, every single video, every single anything he does. It's always the same. He talks about the same three things all the time. What are they? Play the long game, build a brand, not a transaction business, and work harder than everybody else. That's all he talks about. You don't have to listen to Gary Vee anymore. That's all he talks about. No more Gary Vee. That's all he talks about. But people need to hear that over and over and over because it's what gets results. He's just realigning people, realigning people, realigning people. All you need to do as a coach is realign people. This comes back to transformational thinking. You guys have to get clear on what are the 1 to 3 things your audience needs to transform themselves. If you watch my fitness videos, I talk about 3 things. Thanks to Gary Vee, he helped me ask this question to myself. I talk about muscle fiber type training. I talk about optimizing your mechanics, and I talk about rebuilding a robust metabolism. That's it. That's all I talk about. There's nothing else to talk about. What else is there to talk about? That's all you need to do if you want to get results in the gym. So strip down your message to those 1 or 3 things and double down on it. Repeat it. Repeat it like a broken record. Because you know that's how they're going to get results if they start executing on what you've got. I'm seeing some nods. Thank you. Should I stop now? This room's quiet. Is this good? You guys enjoying it? All right, good. Thank you. Hard lesson number 3, killing my recurring revenue. As you can see, I didn't finish my slides. I was doing this on too much caffeine as I'm on right now. I think I got 600 milligrams of caffeine in me right now. So when I go fast, sometimes I miss slides, but that's okay. We don't need a quote on this one. So what happened was a number of years ago, I launched a program called Maximize Your Muscle. We had over 5,000 people in this program at $69.95 a month. And what happened was a devastating mistake. I'm going to share those mistakes on the next slide. And right now, if you guys who has recurring revenue right now in their business? It is the only thing that matters. If you don't have recurring revenue, you don't have a business. You're essentially waking up every month to chase more transactions. All right? Every single thing you do needs to be revolved around getting people to pay you more money every single month. And I had that. It's when Vinny D was living large. It's when Vinny D was buying $800 bottles of wine and driving Lamborghinis. It's when the living large message was really large. All right? But what happened was this. I took my community for granted. I had all these people paying me money. I just figured, yeah, this is great. Let's go find more people. I took them for granted. It was a program that was paying me well. I actually brought it just up here on stage just to give you a quick idea. So what it was a physical newsletter. So this is what they were getting for $69.95 every month. Inside here is a magazine. It's a really pretty magazine, and it's got a 2-hour DVD, which is a workout of the month. Plus they got a private member form, plus a coaching call. So they were getting a lot, right? So what happened was I'm like, this is hard to keep up. But I was getting paid for it, so who cares? I'm making all this money complaining that it was too hard to keep up. What was I thinking? Like, where else could I make money like that? Of course it's a lot of work. I'm rolling it in. I was cleaning house. And I made the excuse, it's too much work. I got to make a video every month. Oh my God, what's wrong with you, Vince? And I will say that I did create something I couldn't sustain. All right? And sometimes we create these continuity programs that we lose interest in fulfilling each month because it is a little too much. You know, maybe they didn't need everything, but I didn't adapt. I didn't say, hey guys, this is too much for me to keep up. I just let the whole thing fade out. I let the form die. I just closed the whole thing down. Like it didn't happen overnight, by the way. You know, it kind of just slowly, and I lost interest. I got the idea fair, and I thought I could do more than I was doing with this. And then, you know, that didn't pan out, and this disappeared. Now, I relaunch Maximize Your Muscle 2.0, and all it is, and I tell everybody, it's just the newsletter, so they don't get the workout anymore, because I'll be honest, the workout program was too hard to sustain, so now I'm rebuilding it, but they just get their newsletter. For me, I can keep this up for life. So with your continuity programs, create something you can sustain. And this is rooted in my calling, helping men maximize the 5 M's of manhood: muscle, mindset, money, mission, and marriage. So the things I'm talking about now are the things rooted in my core. I could talk about this stuff all day long. So I've created something now that is really rooted. That was just based on fitness. I can only talk about fitness so much. And that's okay. It was a good lesson, and now we're evolving from it. So the solution for you guys who are trying to find excuses to move away from what you currently have, sometimes you've got like 30, 40 people and like, oh, this isn't enough. It's okay. Play the long game. Build it up. Everybody who's stuck to their recurring revenue is grateful that they did. Build up those numbers. Keep making that group better and better. Don't take those people for granted. And focus on building a flagship continuity program. So I want to ask you, what do you need to stop doing today that is not focused on building your recurring revenue? What activities are not putting money in your bank account every single month? Stop them. Stop them. Put them on your backlog. Heart lesson number 4. This is a tough one, and this is the one I told a number of my personal friends in the room here that I was going to share tonight, and it's a story of outsourcing my marketing. And when I got scammed, I didn't get scammed. My wife and I got scammed together with her money. $55,000. $55,000. I've never told this story publicly, so I'm just going to lay out, I'm going to try and give you guys a short version. So a couple years ago, we had our first child, and Flavia's business prior to that was bringing in a lot of money. So we were now trying to raise a family. Who has kids? They're pretty easy, eh? If raising kids is easy, you're not doing it right. So we're trying to sustain her business, and we have Melia, who's not sleeping. Flavia didn't sleep for 10 months. 10 months, the dear girl didn't sleep. And someone came around saying, hey, I could help you with your Facebook ads. We have this agency account. We've got a special connection with Facebook. When we go to Ireland and we have special privileges, and we can gonna blow up your account. And it was at the same time that a lot of my other friends were scaling their businesses with Facebook ads. So I'm coming to environments like this and hearing about my friends that started back here that were now way up front here, and they were spending a lot of money and making a lot of money, and I started getting jealous, started getting envious. So what did I do? I talked my wife into taking $50,000 out of her freedom fund, her savings, money that had just recently come from a launch that she had just done, and we gave it to them. We wired it to them. It took us a year to figure out that these two individuals were con artists, like full-blown con artists. We didn't get scammed. Like, these guys were, the way the lawyer described it was, he was like, you had no chance. These guys were professionals. Took us a year to figure this out. My wife blasted them when we finally figured out a year after, made the poor dude cry. I kid you not. We finally found out that these guys scammed us, and they were, oh my God, ask me it later. I'll tell you the full story. Long story short, these guys took our money, and then they asked for more money. What happened was they took our money, and they started making a little headway, and then everything paused, and then they started us going, and then it went back, and then it took us a full year to figure this out, where we finally had to say, like, we're done. We're moving forward. This money's never coming back to us. And it came out of these three reasons. One was comparative syndrome. I was just giving you context to that. And I was expecting someone else to make me money. I was expecting these two men to blow up our business. We're going to blow up your business. Anytime somebody tells you they're going to blow up your business, walk away. If it's too good to be true, it always is. I'm not even going to say sometimes. It's always too good to be true. And we just weren't grateful where we were at. We didn't just embrace, Flav, we've got a baby now. Let's just slow down. Let's embrace this time of our life, and let's get through this. The money's always going to be there. We try to keep up with everybody else. Here's just a few practical tips on not getting scammed. Okay? 2 strikes and you're out. We started seeing red flags within like the first 2 months. 2 strikes, you're out. Let them keep the money and move on. I would have rather figured this out back after 2 months and just been able to focus on new projects than think that they were still going to blow up my business, her business. Get their personal information. It took me a year to figure out that all of our conversations were on Skype. We didn't have any conversations on the phone. I didn't have their email address. I didn't have their personal home address. I had nothing. They were asking for money through wires instead of, just paying with a credit card that I could have reversed it on if they actually were, you know what I'm saying? And do your damn homework. Get referrals from people you personally know and trust. I didn't do that. It came from somebody I kind of knew, and I just didn't want to even actually do my homework because I wanted to believe that this could be possible, what they were saying. Anybody ever done that before? Oh man, good, thank you. Google search them, for crying out loud. A year later, I Google searched their name. Very first listing on Google was so-and-so, court case. They did it to another couple just like me and Flav. They did the same thing. Okay, the solution, slow equals fast, and fast equals slow. When you go fast, you're eventually going to make mistakes. It's like driving a car. You're driving the car too fast, it's eventually going to crash. But if you're driving the car at a nice, consistent pace, you're going to get there without any accidents. All right? If you're in any situations like this right now, I'm just going to ask you to ask yourself, are you working with people who are under-promising and over-delivering? If you are, that's good. If it's vice versa, either give them one more strike and get them out, or fire them right away. Hard lesson number 5, not identify my superpower. So this was through the period of 2006 to about 2000, actually even till like quite recently, where within the last year and a half, I finally figured this out, where I was pretty much doing everything. I was the face of my brand, I was doing the marketing, and I was doing operations. I was literally doing everything. I was the bottleneck of my own company. And you can actually get pretty far running like this. You can build a 7-figure business doing pretty much everything. But you won't get past 7 figures. I've never seen the 8-figure mark. And it's because I'm still doing too much, all right? And then we've made shifts now that we've re-navigated and made some changes. But what happened was I just didn't know what my superpower was. How many people here are like the face of their brand? But maybe, and you're also really good at marketing. You're also good at marketing too. Yeah, it's tough. So like, what should you do? You have to get clarity on what's my superpower. What is the one thing I need to double down on? And I didn't ask that hard question. I didn't get clarity. So this manifests from a couple things. One, I was a one-man army. And you don't want to be a one-man army, all right? You don't want to be a lone wolf. You guys watch Game of Thrones? One of my favorite quotes from that movie is, when winter comes, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. All right, Arya Stark said that. I love that quote. So when you're alone, you're going to die. You're not going to thrive. It's just a matter of time. I had this mindset that what got me here might get me there. I think there's a book written on this, right? It's like thinking that your arms are going to grow. They're growing from 14 inches to 15 inches, curling 20s. But to get your arms from 15 inches to 16 inches, you can't keep curling 20s. You've got to start doing things differently. And I didn't figure this out soon enough. And I wasn't asking this $1 million question. What do I need to stop doing? I want you guys to just pay close attention here to this. The most powerful question you can ask yourself literally every single minute of the day is, what must I stop doing? What must I stop doing? What must I stop doing? If you ask yourself that question every minute of the day, you will start getting aligned with the things that will actually move your business forward. Most powerful question that you can hold yourself accountable to throughout the course of the day. And the key here is to identify what a lot of people calls your 5%. What is the 5% of stuff that only you can do within your zone of genius and no one can do better than you? Even if you hired them, they wouldn't do it better than you. And believe it or not, there's only a few things that only you can do. I was so embarrassed. I was at a big mastermind a few days ago, and I came into the meeting and I'd done a workout with these guys, and the meeting was supposed to start, and I was still doing the description and the hashtag on my Snap story before the meeting was supposed to start, and then the Wi-Fi kicked out, and I was getting flustered that I wasn't even getting my last set in on my Snapchat. Like, what is wrong with me? And I asked them, like, they said, Vince, what are you doing? We're about to start the meeting. I'm like, I just finishing up posting my story from our workout this morning. And the guy said, dude, you're micromanaging the wrong things. Come on. Come on. It's like, was this amateur hour? And I had to hear it from somebody like him to like, oh my God, had to sting a bit. So you got to identify your 5% and start delegating the rest. Hard lesson number 8, story. Oh, sorry, I was reading the thing right there. I'm going to tell you the story. Ending my live event. So in 2011, I ran my first live event, Live Large Live. I did it after I competed at the World WBFF Fitness Model Championship. So I had all these guys come in to watch me compete on the stage against the world's top fitness models. Had this awesome 3-day event. It was one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life. And it was really powerful. Alan, you were there, right? Yeah, he was there, and he came to this live event, and it was incredible. We had all these, just like this, and guess what happened? I stopped doing it. We had 60 people show up. It was an incredible experience, got so much positive feedback, and I stopped doing it. Why did I stop doing it? A couple reasons. One, I was interested in the idea of live events. It just seemed like the thing to do. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have a live event. Everybody's doing live events. I'm going to do a live. I was interested in it, but I wasn't committed. Does anybody have any clients who are killing it right now, being interested in the thing they're doing? No. Interest doesn't get results. Commitment gets results. So I wasn't committed to this. I wasn't committed to this long time, and I also had unrealistic expectations, right? Yuri and I were talking this morning at breakfast, how this morning, we were talking about like the great number of people that have come up. And I said, yeah, what's the goals? And he's got like very realistic goals with this to see this event grow, right? He wants to maintain quality control. He doesn't want to turn it into a storm, or I was going to say a swear word, show, you know what I mean? He wants to maintain quality control. And I was like trying to think, how do I get from 60 people to 1,000 people next week? So I didn't have realistic expectations. I also didn't have a strong monetization model, because the truth is, if you're going to do live events, most live events break even with the amount of costs that are associated with running the event. And I just was kind of unaware with that, and I didn't have anything to offer the people that came to my event. So if you're going to start doing live events, you want to kind of think about, what can I offer them to continue on the journey, to take them to the next step, right? If you're not doing that, it's actually a disservice. It's actually a disservice, because there's always a percentage of people in the room who come to the events who are now ready to move to the next thing. And if you don't offer them something to do, to evolve to, then they just kind of leave. They get kind of stimulated. It's like going to church on Sunday. It's like playing golf. They knock you down the fairway, but you don't get put in the hole, right? You get down, but you're still not where you need to be to get the ultimate results. So you're kind of doing them a disservice. Good churches, they have what's called home churches. So after the service, you go to a home church through the course of the week in a smaller group, and you get to talk about what the guy talked about on Sunday. And you start to unpack it, and that's where the real learning occurs, right? So that's what you need to offer for your people after the live event. A coaching program, a mastermind, and then that's the monetization model. I didn't have that. I was one of the first guys to start doing live events, so I missed out on that opportunity. It's never too late, right? But you want to ensure you know why you're doing the event. So right there, figure out your reason why. I want you guys to ask yourself this question. What do you need to do to run, what event do you need to run to establish yourself as an authority figure, thought leader, high-level coach? How many people are going to have an event being inspired by this event next year? Amazing. 1, 2. That's incredible. That's amazing. You guys are going to have live events, and people that come to your live events are going to do the same as well. All right, and this is where a lot of the transformation happens, because people connect and great things happen. Hard lesson number 9. I got 10 minutes. We're right on track here. Good stuff. So lesson number 9 is playing in the $7 sandbox. So there was a time where, I don't remember which marketer it was, but $7 offers became really popular. Anybody start playing the $7 sandbox? $7 offers. And don't get me wrong, they can be used in context to a bigger model, but what happened is I got really caught up in just this $7 offer when I established myself as a $77 muscle building product. I really built up my authority by selling more expensive products. And I didn't even realize it until I went to this model. And what our numbers, again, this is my experience. I know there's other marketers who can say, Vince, we're actually seeing great results with this. For my business model, what happened was that we found that $7 customers are pretty much good just for that, $7. We have metrics to show this. So what happened was we started calling we started a call center, we started calling all the $7 customers on the phone. Man, useless. I hate to say it, but they were good for that. We started calling our $500 customers, people that went through a program called Hypertrophy Max, and we started asking, hey, one-on-one coaching, opening up. It's a $1,200 program. Guess where all the $1,200 customers came from? Hypertrophy Max. So I'm like, why are we not putting more effort into attracting $500 customers? Why are we chasing $7 customers? So I played in the sandbox way too long. And I know some guys will tell you got to split tests, blah, blah, blah. For me personally, I'm comfortable not split testing down there, because I just don't want to be perceived as that brand. All right? It's a decision that I've found to be true for me. So it's something we all have to decide on. But for me, I found that to be a hard lesson, because all the people that come to my live events and to my masterminds and seminars now are coming from Hypertrophy Max and one-on-one coaching, because we've delivered that's the best way we can service them with those higher end programs. And that's ultimately who I want to work with too. I'd rather work with fewer people, higher profit margins, and who are just more serious than tire kickers. And that all manifests from not knowing my higher vision. At the time, I didn't have the vision of the live events, the coaching and all that. So we kind of got lost trying to chase the volume. We're playing the volume game, right? We confuse quality and quantity, right? You want quality all day long. You don't want to chase quantity. And we had that transaction focus versus building that brand, like having a perception of like a really strong brand. And wow, this guy's premium level products, premium level prices. There's a lot of people. I'm one of those guys who's a sucker for higher prices. Shoot, I just told you guys that. But you guys are all good people, so I'm not going to worry about you guys pulling that back on me. Or else you'll end up with a story of me telling something about you up here. No. So yeah, you just have to know where you're going. You got to focus on building that brand. You're going to attract better people in the long term, all right? And then again, this just comes from thinking all leads are created equal. It's even, can play into the whole YouTube game, chasing lots of views. Well, I've got a friend who's got over 3 million YouTube subscribers living paycheck to paycheck because his channel's entertainment-based. He could monetize it, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he doesn't have it. There's a lot of things he could do to monetize that audience, but he's living paycheck to paycheck because he's more interested in becoming famous than rich. What's your goal? It's like when you go to the gym, what's your goal? Strength or size? Strength or size, because the different training methods. You got to know your goal, right? You got to know the destination, or else you're going to take a lot of detours that won't get you there likely. So again, don't believe that all leads are created equal. All right? I know who my avatar is. I'm attracting men who want to join Maximize Your Muscle, men who want to come to my live event, men who want to maximize all 5 of these M's, men who want to build a business. That's who I'm looking for. So naturally, I'm not going to have as many views. There's not as many ambitious men out there with that kind of mindset and goal. Of course, I'm going to have smaller numbers. If I had a lot of numbers, there'd be something wrong. It wouldn't make sense, right? Because we're going somewhere that's tough. We're on the narrow road, not the wide road. So you have to believe in where you're going and that it's a hard journey. Where I'm taking men, it's not easy. I don't expect a lot of men to come along. So when I look at my numbers, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, this guy's got a lot of views because he's preaching an easy life. He's preaching stuff that's like instant gratification. Of course that's what the majority of population is like. He's giving them baby food. I'm not giving people baby food. A lot of people want to live on baby food. I'm giving them real food. I know what I'm giving people. So I'm okay when I see the numbers and I go, Vince, you don't have a lot of people on your Instagram. What's your point? There's not a lot of people that want to do what I want to do. Of course there's not a lot of people on my Instagram. What's your point? So I doubled down. I know where I'm going and like, oh yeah, it's a good point. Put it back on them. Let them wrestle with it. It's their problem, not my problem. So what's the solution? Premium prices. What high-priced product, program, or service must you launch next year or in the next 30 days to your customer base? What have you been kind of thinking about but you haven't pulled the trigger on? What do you need to launch next? What's the big thing that you can offer your people? That $200, $500, $1,000 program. For some of you, it might be a $1,000 a month program. Start thinking big. We're almost there. Hard lesson number 10. We're actually not going to we're not going to cover this one because I told my wife, I said, this one isn't that good. My last point. I need to finish off strong. Flav, what is my 10th point? Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh, that would have been bad. That would have been really bad. Okay, so my 10th mistake, no word of a lie, it was as simple as this, was I disconnected from a mastermind. So I'm a product of masterminds. My first mastermind, I worked with Craig Ballantyne, and he helped me go from 100K to 350K. And then I went, even continuing working with him, 350 to 750. Then I hired a guy named Bedros Koulian, and he was an 18K mastermind. And I went from 350 to over $1 million. And that was all within about 4 or 5 years before the age of 30. And then after that mastermind, I said, I'm good. I've got enough information. And I disconnected. I didn't continue on. I disconnected. I became that lone wolf. And that's when all these things, the majority of these things started happening. When I was flying by myself. I wasn't even flying, I was running. I disconnected. I lost having people give me input and quality control and just keeping me focused on my vision and helping me establish what's my vision. And when we know your vision, then we can establish the path, right? If you don't know your vision, then you can't establish the path. So that was probably one of the biggest mistakes, just disconnecting, not continuing to invest in myself, not staying around like-minded guys. And that's when my business plateaued. And it didn't just plateau. I think it's actually, see, when things plateau, it's like, hey, I'm plateaued at $1 million. That's great. But there's no such thing as maintenance in this world. You're either growing or you're dying. So what I didn't know, I was actually dying. My business was slowly dying, and that's the most painful death. Things were slowly moving in the wrong direction. And there was even a point, I don't even know if, I think Flav could testify, we've never really talked about this, but in this kind of context, but there was a point where I was a very rich, broke man. There was a lot of cash coming in, but there was a lot of cash going out. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Thankfully for good people who didn't give up on me and kind of came into my life, and by, just a great chain of events helped me navigate back on the path. Unfortunately, it took like a year and a half to kind of figure out, I kind of lived through this, and it was all happening. I could blame, hey, we had 2 kids and all this and that, but it was, I think the root of it was just flying solo and thinking that, hey, I can do this on my own. I forgot the definition of team. You guys know what the definition of team is? Together, each achieves more, right? A good coach is going to do a couple things for you. And I know Yuri will do this if you're working with him. There's 5 things a good coach is going to do for you. He's going to, 1, get you to become a better leader, all right? This whole thing here is a brain game. If you're not becoming a better leader, you're not going to grow your business. That's what this is all about. You guys should always be investing into leadership events. Anything that makes you become a better leader, number 1. Number 2, a great coach is going to help you establish clarity of vision. What's your vision? What's the vision? Third thing, they're going to help you establish clarity of path. All right, so this is where we're going. We're going to 2,500 franchise locations. Okay, so what's the path to get there? They're going to help you establish clarity of path. 3, they're going to help you build a dream team. They're going to help get you out of the things you shouldn't be doing and teach you how to make those transitions, create those systems, get that structure so that you can work on the business and not in the business. And then the final thing a good coach is going to do for you is they're going to get you to think bigger. They're going to expand your thinking. I bet you guys have all had your thinking caps expanded this weekend, right? Feels good, right? A lot of big ideas have come into the conversation. You're like, wow, that's a good idea. Didn't think of that. I was thinking of this. That's even better. That's what these places do. They unlock ideas. How many people have had ideas unlocked this weekend? Amazing. These rooms unlock them. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for your time. If there's anything I can do, feel free to approach me. I don't know if we have time for questions here, but it was a pleasure being up here. Thank you, Yuri, for the opportunity to have the stage and share these painful lessons. And I appreciate each one of you guys. Thank you.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome. Do we have a few minutes for Q&A? Yeah? All right, so why don't we have a seat in these comfortable chairs?
Oh, thank you.
They're so good.
Can I sit down too?
Of course.
Oh,
I'm not just going to sit by myself. Let's just chill.
Can I drink some of this?
Okay, who's got a question for Vince about the journey?
Rudy.
Sorry, we'll just wait for the mic.
What's the quote? A great magician never shares his tricks.
Yes.
I just want to know great presentation. Where'd you get all your great quotes from?
Truthfully, 1 is my pastor, 2 is my father, and 3 is an extensive amount of reading in the morning.
Can I have a follow-up? Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
I noticed there's a few slides that said quote about books.
Yeah, that was when I was working on this presentation, flying home, and going too quickly through the slides, so I forgot to finish those slides.
That was a good one. That was deep. Yeah. Who's up? Vincent? No? No? Yes? No? Oh, could we just get that last slide again on the screen? Thank you. No comments.
Which time frame are no?
Hey, I was hoping you could share some details on finding a coach and or mastermind group And if you're starting out, kind of, I guess going to these events is obviously a good first step, but kind of how do you interview? Do you kind of just use your network?
There's so many opportunities to join masterminds. I think it's just trying to find one that has, I truly believe that, you're probably not going to stay in one mastermind for your entire life. So just join anyone. Just the key is not to figure out which one, just join one. Be decisive. Make a decision. So the thing is, it's not, you've got the wrong question, because you're thinking of the mastermind doing something for you, and you have to go into this mastermind with the idea, if the mastermind's 25 G's or whatever the price tag, even if you sat in on it for 1 hour, whatever you learn in that 1 hour, you're going to go back out there and make your return on it 4 times. So it's not what the mastermind can do for you, it's what you're going to take from it, because you're going to get a ton of knowledge. So just join one. Pick one, be decisive, and you'll get your money's worth.
Can I just add to that? Great point. The other thing too is that I think you want to find someone or a leader or a group that you identify with, right? And if you don't like the person leading it, don't even bother. And I think you're going to be at different points in your evolution in business where one might be better suited, and then you evolve out of that to the next one. And that's exactly what happened with the masterminds I was a part of. I just grew out of one, evolved to the next, and kept going. So, anyone else? I got a question for you.
Sure.
Was there a question? No? So knowing what you know now, if you were to do everything all over again, what would you start doing today?
Write a book sooner. Free plus shipping offers sooner. Maintain the continuity. Get into live events and coaching sooner.
Cool. Yeah.
I would have just moved the people that were most engaged with me into a higher price thing with more access much sooner, and just work that model. I'd rather take, if you think about it, how do you make $1 million a month? You take $1,000 from 1,000 people. That's much better than, that's probably going to be one of the most rewarding things you do. If you're charging that kind of money, you've got to be creating value, excess value for those people. So I think we always try and figure out what's the top, what's the most, and just move people in that direction. And just keep it simple. They've been teaching this stuff for decades. This isn't new.
Okay, Hud, we'll take one last question.
Hi. Just a quick question. You mentioned about the recurring revenue, how you created one, and then it stopped, and then you created another one. And obviously, we all should be playing the long game, but should we be thinking quite early on about what that would look like,
Yep.
a membership site, and what you should offer, and so on?
Absolutely. You should be a chess master, 3 steps ahead of the next player. Yeah, you're always knowing why you're creating this. It's setting up something else.
Yep. All right, guys. There we go. Mr. Vince Del Monte.
Thank you. That was awesome, man. Thank you.
Well done,
That was
man.
fun.
Excellent. So question for you guys. We're going to do a roundtable think tank for the next hour. So like we did yesterday, you guys will kind of do your magic with your team. Do you guys want to take a quick 5-minute break before we do that? All right. So okay, here's the thing, though. It's got to be 5 minutes. It's got to be 5 minutes. Are we good? 5 minutes is on the clock, and we'll right back in and do the roundtables.